guys, welcome back to a bit more maths, and today I want to introduce you to one of your best friends in mathematics, one of the things that will help you the most as you go through your mathematics, and that's to do with place value. It's divided by 10. Now, yes, it is very easy, I can tell you that straight away, but I just want to go over a few points with you just to make sure that you've got it completely, because people can get confused. So what do I mean by very easy? Well, normally when we divide something by 10, say it's a number like, I don't know, 40, 4 sets of 10, lots of ways to say it, but 4 sets of 10, 40. If we want to divide that by 10, that super duper easy way to think about it is just to cover up the 0. We end up getting our answer that way. We're not taking away 0, we're dividing it by 10, but we are in practice just losing that 0 off there to get our answer. So it's a very quick thing. No calculations are needed. You can see the 4 there is the 4 that we see there. All we've done is divided that set of 40 things into 10 parts, and there's 4 in each part. And then it works for other numbers too. So we've got 70. We're going to divide that by 10. The nice thing is the answer is in the question. 70, cover the 0. Oh, there's our answer, 7. It works with bigger numbers too. Say it's 130. We're going to divide that by 10. The clue is there, isn't it? Cover the 0. Tells us it's 13. But what's really happening there? Are we taking away 0? Obviously not. What's the magic that's happening that allows us to divide by 10 so easily? Well, I wanted to show you on another piece of paper something that's hopefully a bit more interesting for you. Let's switch paper out, get start with a nice fresh one over here. Say we had a more interesting number. Oh no, we'll start with our examples that we had before. So we'll go back to a number like 150, and we want to divide that by 10. Now I've made this little slider here that hopefully will help us. I've placed it out well enough. So 150 looks like this on my thing. Actually the 100 should be a little bit more over there. You'll notice there's this dot here. In my classroom we call that Dennis the decimal, and what that does, it tells you that every number after that is less than 1. In this case, when we're dividing by 10, what we can do is shift our number along. I'll just shift the whole thing down a bit so you can see a bit better. We're going to keep that there, and I'm going to slide it across. We're dividing it by 10. We're changing the place value of each of those numbers. So that 1 that was in the hundreds is now in the tens. The 5 that was in the tens, making it 50, is now in the ones, and the 0 that we had there is shifted over to the other side. So we don't normally write 0.0 when we're writing a number. So if I was to finish my equation here, I would say 150 chopped into 10 parts would give me 15 parts in each, and I've essentially taken Dennis the decimal that was hanging around there and pushed them across there. Dividing by 10 is very, very easy, and I hope you click onto it really quickly. Now, the numbers I like are a bit more interesting. Say it is 132. I'll try to get my spacing a little bit better this time. 132 looks like, oh, much better, Mr. M, much better. Now, I could say it is 132.0. In this case, it doesn't really matter. I could do a whole lot of zeros if I wanted. It is not 1320. This decimal tells me that my whole numbers stop here. After that, it's parts of numbers. Divide by 10. I've got the same process again, haven't I? I can take the whole thing, and it's much easier to think of it like this. Kind of slide it across there. Now my answer, I can see, is not 100. 13.2. So divided by 10 equals 13.2. 2, running out of space on the page there. We'll slide that across a bit. So, a very, very easy thing to do. This is not something that you need to have with you all the time when you're doing your maths. However, it's a handy way to get to understand how it works. Plus, I just like all the colourful triangles. It'll work with any number. Now, that was going to... We've got to remember Dennis there. That makes a big difference, that dot. People don't see it often when they're learning maths. They say, what is that annoying little speck? But actually, Dennis the decimal is a very important character in maths. It tells us a lot about what's happening with the numbers. Does it work with numbers that are already less than 1? Yes, it does. Say I had 0.142. Hopefully my spacing isn't too terrible. Now, in this case, the decimal's already there. That's okay. So I've got no ones, I've got 1/10, I've got 400ths and 2,000ths, 1.142. Down here, this, when my 2,000ths are tiny, tiny fractions of a single number. Now, do I do the same thing? Absolutely I do. The only thing I have to remember is to make sure that my decimal doesn't stay there. So, because I'm dividing by 10, I just move it across 1. Now my new number, so I'm going to have to put a 0 there, you see. Put that there, that one's gone. My new number would be, if I divide by 10, can you still see me? Yep, good. Would be 0.0142. Now you can see my 2's disappeared off my chart there. I'm actually into the tens of thousandths, tiny, 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 tiny fraction. So the trick still works, even if my number is already less than 1 when I begin. It's quite a handy little thing. Now, I'll just take a pause there because in a second I want to show you how the same trick works also with hundreds. Just bear with me while I take a little break. Okay, so here we're looking at hundreds. Can I divide this number by 100? Can I say 500 divided by 100? Yes, I can, and it's exactly the same trick, except that you'll notice in the number 100 there are 2 zeros, right? So when we're dividing by 100, like when we divided by 10, we moved our whole number across the decimal 1 space. In this case we do it twice because there's 2 zeros and 100. It's just a nifty, handy, convenient, quick way to think of it. So I've got my 500 here, I want to divide by 100, I go doot, doot, and I end up with 5.00. The maths would look like this, divided by 100 equals 5. I could put 0.0 or 0.00, but I don't need to. They're just placeholders at this point. So, does it work with other more interesting numbers? I certainly hope so, otherwise my lesson won't go very well. Let's see. Say I had 8,706 tens and, oh, what's a number we haven't used that often? 9 ones. Now, this number we can easily divide by 10 or 100 or 1,000, whatever we like, just as long as we keep in mind how many zeros are in the number that we're dividing by. So let's have a look. Let's have a quick look then. So, in fact, I'll move that back because then you can see where my thing goes. I want to divide this by 100. I want to say, what is 8,769 divided by 100? There may be a reason I want to do that. Maybe I'm figuring out percentages or something. I don't know. Now, I can do the same thing again. I can say, well, I want to divide it by 100. You'll notice that the order of these numbers never changes. Zeros don't sneak in between them. I don't have to do other calculations. It's all about just changing the place value. So let's slide them across there. 1, 2. Now you can see there, I've got the same sequence of numbers. The sound of it changes. It's not 8,000 something anymore. Now it is 87.69. Now when you're dealing with very small numbers like this, decimals, that sort of thing, Typically in European maths we don't say 0.69. We normally say 0.69 or 0.732 or whatever the number happens to be. It's just another way to differentiate between numbers that are less than 1, so 69, that's 6/10ths and 9/100ths, versus numbers that are more than 1, or 1 or more at least. So 87 is clearly 8/10s and 7/1s. So that's just a little helpful definition. You might hear in American videos they often skip that and will say 87.69, sorry, 0.69. Probably just stick with 69. It's easier to remember as well. Okay, now just want to make sure that I've covered everything. Oh, there is one really important thing about divided by 10s. I'll just switch bits of paper again. A little hint that I hope will help you in the future as well. We've learnt that we can divide any number by 10, and it looks like this as maths symbols. We can say divided by 10. I want to say to you that there's other ways you can think about divided by 10 that are also useful. It is the same as 1/10 of something. So if I had 63, for example, divided by 10 would give me 6.3. I don't need the slider, I can just, in my head, just move that dot across there. I could also say that 1/10 of 63 is 6.3. So that's a fraction, but fractions work very much like divided bys, and so that's a handy thing to keep in mind, and it's a theme that we'll revisit over and over again. Here's another cool trick. Everything that is a tenth or divided by 10 can also be said as 0.1. So if I said 63 times 0.1, I would get 6.3. So it's just another way of saying the same thing. You'll notice here that these all have a very close similarity. 1/10 looks a bit like 0.1 there. It is actually, if you were to say that as a fraction, you'd say that is 1/10. Now, then is there another way to say it? Yes, you can. Sometimes we talk about things as percentages. So divided by 10 is the same as saying 10% of something. So I could also say 10% of 63 is 6.3. So that's just another way that we can think about it. All of the divided bys have these ways to express them as well. So you can have divided by 3 would be the same as 1/3, is the same as 0.33, and the same as 33% recurring. So each of these numbers has this, but this divided by 10 is very, very sweet and easy to understand. Our whole number system is based on 10, so dividing by 10, multiplying by 10, or 100 or 1000 is very easy, and I hope this video helps you to see with a little bit more clarity that it is an easy and achievable thing for you to have a go with. Alright, thanks for bearing with me, guys. Have fun with dividing by 10.